Welcome back to Generation Varied, everybody. This is the show where we discuss culture, health, geopolitics, sports, a lot of different music, and everything else in between. I am your host, Caleb Norris, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Ben Okenge and Jack Widener, with our wonderful executive producer behind the scenes, Sophie St. Ferman. Jack, Ben, how we doing this week, y'all?
I'm doing well. I have a lot of decisions coming up in terms of I'm looking to move out of Kentucky within a month now, and uh, waiting for a couple of
Praise
things.
God from whom all blessings flow.
Hey, look, I love Kentucky, and I appreciate my time here, went to college here, and whatnot.
He's ready.
I as a TCK third culture kid who live overseas, I'm ready
Listen,
to move because I'm not trying to
I
settle
feel
down.
we're raising a glass for you, Jack. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned on where my wife and I end up at.
Yeah, man. My week's been really good. I feel like for those of you who don't know, I finished up my semester of classes. Now I'm in a clinical rotation, and this
Hey, now.
just feels like I'm relaxing. I'm still learning. I'm still practicing my skills, but it's like I feel like I'm just clocking in, clocking out like the regular
back.
job. Yeah, it
Welcome
feels
back
good.
to the real world, or
Yeah, Lisa Nagaib,
Yes. Listen, Al-Gaib. We are still not over Dune 2. I don't care. I think my favorite part of this podcast, Ben, has been making you a believer in Dune.
Bro, it's crazy because I really went from being more than just on the fence. I was like, this is not going to be good. And now I'm all in. I can't wait for the next one.
I think everybody who is very turned off by the first one is like, I don't understand why people love it so much. From the second one, because they just expect the second one to be because usually the second movie isn't better than the first one, so they're like, there's no way. So I have a few friends who still haven't seen the second one, and they're very annoyed about just how everyone's been talking about Dune Part 2. But hey, they need to see the light. They need to believe the prophecy.
Yeah. It's all right. It's still early in the game for them.
I refuse to read the book to find out what happens in the end, because what I really want to happen is like I really want him to have to like I don't want to say I want him to, but like I want him to like have to like square off with like his mom, who's like trying to like lead like the religious cult, and him like, no mom, like no more cult, like no mom, what did I tell you about starting cults? Like stop. Like that's what I want to have happened, and at the end of it, like at the end of the day.
I'm the opposite. I definitely want to get the Dune Messiah book because I didn't realize there was even. I only read the first Dune, the first one, and I didn't realize Frank Herbert wrote like 2 more, and his son wrote 3 other. But no, excited to hear that they are going to be making Dune Messiah. They confirmed that this week, so that's going to be in production soon. So can't wait to see this comes to life. I don't know what year it's going to come out. It's probably 2026 or something.
2030 or something insane.
It's like the Fremen's waited forever for Lisa Nagaib.
They've been waiting.
I can wait 2-3 years.
If the Freemans is waiting all this time to get their freedom, to get their spices back, you can wait a couple of years to see how they pull it off. Okay?
Bro, I'm dead. I love that. I was cracking up. Before we started recording, Caleb was talking about how Beyonce. Why don't you just explain that, Caleb?
There is that clip of the guy. I don't even remember his name. Jack, do you remember his name? The guy that's like
Stilgard?
Yes. Yeah. He's once they have like confirmation, he's like, Lisa Nagaib, and he like freaks out and turns around. It's like it's
as it is written.
People, anytime Beyonce has been like doing anything on like Twitter, people have been commenting back to her with that little video of like Lisa Nagaib, like the chosen one, and it is just comedic gold. Like
I love that meme that came out of it. It's so good.
Mhm.
And I would have missed it if I didn't watch the movie. Speaking of Beyonce, though, it's been a crazy week for music.
Blessed.
Let me just, I gotta just start right off with the obvious, the topic everybody's been talking about, and we got into it last week, and we predicted it was not the end of the story, and we were right.
I just
So
didn't know that it was going to end this quickly. Okay.
Hold
yeah,
up, it's not over.
yeah. I don't
I
know. Drake's still in the booth, probably, but I think it'll be over. But yeah, no, we'll get into that. A little bit of context. I woke up Friday morning. Every Friday morning, I like waking up and seeing what new music just dropped. I generally have a pretty good idea of what's going to come out. I like to keep up with these types of things. But Friday morning, I woke up to surprise, surprise, an album from J. Cole. Um, Unbelievable album, first of all.
Great
Uh,
album.
for it to just be a surprise album drop out of the blue like that, it made my whole day on Friday. In what already was a stacked day for music. So, did you guys get a chance to listen to the new album, and more specifically, 7 Minute Drill, which was J. Cole's response to Kendrick?
I think last time I mentioned that when when a new album drops, I want to listen from beginning to the end, like start. And it took a lot. It took a lot for me to not jump to the last song, the 7 minute drill. But I did like listen from the beginning first, and then
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the end, and uh, loved the album. I was working that day, just having that listen to through my headphones. Like it definitely made my Friday more enjoyable, just like new music. And I mean, J. Cole's still J. Cole, like his music is amazing. And it's always, none of these, like, there's something I can look forward to during the album, knowing that there's a diss track at the very end, which I definitely want to talk about.
So I listened to it. And I went straight to the diss track. That's what I wanted to hear. I'm not as I'm not as virtuous as Jack is, okay?
He went straight for
I said play that diss track right now. So yeah, no, I've listened to actually most of the album. I've listened to at least the front half, and then that song. There's a song in there that has some pretty transphobic language in it. So I can't say that I fully approve of the album, just because at this point, hating on trans people, it's just like it's such a low blow. It's in such poor taste. This is a community, ain't messing with you. Like it's just completely I don't stand with it or agree for it at all. J. Cole's obviously a great artist, so I can acknowledge that while simultaneously saying those lines should not have been in his songs. But for the most part, I thought it was a really good music, and I was blown away at 7 Minute Drill.
Mm.
A lot of people. I mean, Ben, what did you think of it?
I had about my experience was different from both of you when it came to listening to that. I do like listening to an album front to back, but I didn't know which one was gonna be the diss track when I was first
Oh,
listening. So had I known that it was the last song, I probably would have skipped and listened to that one first because that's what I was excited for. But when I listened to it, like I hadn't been on social media yet or anything. I just saw it pop up on my Spotify, and so I listened to it front to back. It was a sweet surprise to have it at the very end. I thought the song was great. I went back and forth listening to 7 Minute Drill and liked that over and over again. Making my comparisons. Who you got? Kendrick, who you got?
mm-hmm.
And it was fun. I loved the song. One of the lines that I want to pick out and kind of get your guys' opinion on that I think is kind of the most controversial. He said a lot of stuff. But he's talking about Kendrick's discography in a way that I actually let me just get
Yeah.
into it because I feel some type of way about it. and I want to see if you guys agree. So he says your first one was classic, and that's talking about Good Kid, Mad City. He said your last one was tragic, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Your second one put dudes to sleep, but they gassed it. Ooh,
Listen.
that's To Pimp a Butterfly.
I know Jack took that one personally.
Jack shed a tear.
Pimp the Butterfly is my favorite album, and I can talk about this another time. But one of the reasons is because I feel like he's one of the first hip hop artists to bridge from hip hop and jazz, and there's like fuse that together, and it was amazing. And I mean, it's a great storytelling album. So when J. Cole said that, I'm like, oh, I'm counting. I mean, there's not that much album, but it's enough where I'm like,
yeah,
hold up.
Jack, you're right. There's not that much. There's not that many albums, which is also something that J. Cole talked about. He said something like, "You drop a good verse every 30 months." And I think that a lot of Kendrick fans were hurt by that one. Anyway, he said your third one was massive, and that was your prime. So he's talking about Damn. And then he said I was trailing right behind you, and now I hit mine. So, okay, I guess Caleb, what do you think? Would you agree with any of the things that J. Cole had to say there?
So I don't necessarily think that his last album went over the best with fans, but you have to think the man has been the bar in the industry for the last decade, 15 years. So it's like even when it's not as legendary as Damn, like the album was, it's still a great album. And it's like there are things that you can, I mean, I didn't necessarily agree. I will say I thought in general that the song went hard. I thought these were bold statements. I was like, I mean, you said all of it with your chest at least. You know what I'm saying?
No,
you believe
true.
it?
Yeah. It's first different than Kendrick. I think there's like that. For those who don't understand what was going on, it's like, wait, what does that mean? You needed somebody to break it down. But it's fun to hear J. Cole to like, you hear it like, okay, I know what he's talking about. Okay, like, it's just direct responses and whatnot. So, I appreciated that too. For somebody who like not always are up to date on everything, to just the beef or what's brewing in the background. So, but also I feel like I never really heard J. Cole had a diss track before. So it's just really cool to see like this is happening. Like two of the best rappers are going at each other. I think we said this, like at the end of the day, we welcome this. We want this to happen, and we got it, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, J. Cole is more of a sneak dissing type of guy. This is the first time I really heard him be so direct, and it was a bit off brand for him, which is something that he addressed, because now the continuation of the story after this album and this diss track specifically were released is J. Cole has now apologized for this song. Several different ways he's done that, but yeah.
It be your own people.
I know.
It be your own people out here walking around apologizing.
It's always the light skins, bro.
Always the light skins. I'm like, y'all, come on, keep it together. Be a unit. Come on, hold it down.
Man. No, it's funny though, because I listened to J. Cole talk about that. He said like that was the corniest thing I've ever done in my life, and in a way, I mean he's right. That's just not the type of dude that he is. Like musically, professionally, just as a person. The fans wanted it. The fans enjoyed it. I feel like he kind of pooped the party a little bit with that, but
So the fan in me is like, I can't believe you apologized. That it wasn't even that hard of a diss track. I didn't like I felt like it was like a warning shot, like preparing for battle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I didn't think it was like that corny. I really didn't. I was like, I mean, okay, like talk like okay, like speak on it. Like, yeah, J. Cole, like say what you gotta say. Like, okay, you know? But I will say that when it comes down to it, if that's what he needed to do to like protect his peace, to protect his mindset, to stay in a good headspace, then like the human in me says, good on you for taking accountability and ownership for actions that you weren't proud of. So like the human side of me is like, dude, good on you for acknowledging that, protecting your peace, making amends. But the fan in me is like, don't let them punk you. J.
Yeah.
Cole? You are J. Cole.
J. Cole sat in the Starbucks with a journal, listened to music, and should have done that. This disruption internally. I need to find a way to find a peace. But the same reaction as Kayla, like fan of me wanted to like, yo, this is brewing, and now Drake is gonna come with a banger, you know, and just back and forth, 2v1, and then when he came out and apologized, I mean, it was almost like the way he did it. It was very transparent, but also kind of funny. The way he delivered that, and I think his biggest thing is like he has a spiritual disruption internally, which he wants to go back to just going back his own process of producing his music, which like what kids like a human sentiment, yeah, I respect that. But man, journaling, it does something to you, huh?
You said he was in the Starbucks parking lot. Dear diary.
We love you, J. Cole.
Where do I begin?
Why did I say that? Why did I say that?
Why did I say that?
Bro, if I had a diary at a young age, that's all it would have said is why did I say that? You know those moments where you just like stay up at night thinking about something dumb you said? That's like my entire childhood.
If anything, he should have came to the conclusion, I should have said this.
Exactly. That's when you write the second diss track. You got to be ready.
That's when you circle back and you like, nah, I wasn't finished actually. You know what?
Exactly.
Now that I'm here,
double down.
Let me just keep it up, you know?
Ben, I don't know if you heard, this is trending earlier today on Twitter. Joe Budden says something about Kendrick. A rumor that both Kendrick and Drake are in the booth right now and should have something come on Friday.
Okay.
That's a very
This is not a rumor. Yes. Drake is in the lab, okay? But I don't know when. I haven't heard it. I do trust Joe Budden. So if he said that it's this Friday, then dang, I'm in for another good week. But Drake has been in the lab. He posted that on his Instagram, kind of teasing that something was gonna come.
Oh wow.
If we get a resurgence of Young Money, Cash Money, Nicki, Lil Wayne, and Drake on a song,
hey, take me back to 2010, 2012. All right, so guys, if these two songs like that and 7-minute drill, if that's all we get from this rap beef, who do you got? Who won?
Kendrick. I just think holistically Kendrick won, just from like we didn't know he was gonna say something. I was like, whoa. Yeah. And then what he was saying, the way he did it with Metro on the beat, and then J. Cole coming out strong, but that apology definitely like, you know,
soften the blow.
Like I don't know how we should feel about this, right? So I will have my vote is Kendrick, even though it's just one a couple bars versus a whole album.
Yeah, Caleb.
Yeah, Kendrick won. Kendrick won. He won for sure.
Plain and simple. Yeah, I agree. I liked as a whole. I love J. Cole's album. But the diss track, it was fine. Um, Nothing like super groundbreaking. Uh, I think he had some good opinions that he got across, but it wasn't like anything, hard. Um, but it was a really big week for music. J. Cole's surprise album, Bryson Tiller dropped, Doja Cat dropped. I loved that. Glorilla, Vori, Khalid, Lil Wayne and Young Thug dropped a song. Then in some other genres, we had one of my favorite artists. I don't know if you guys know him, but Novo Amor, great artist, great album that he dropped. Angus and Julia Stone put out an EP. My younger brother told me that Lil Yachty had a really good album come out. I didn't listen, so shout out to Steph. Hopefully you're not leading my listeners astray because I didn't verify that one, and I don't trust Lil Yachty these days to make some good music, but maybe it's good. I don't know.
That's fine.
But yeah, as we talked about upcoming, like we still have Drake, which no one knows really anything about. Maybe Joe Budden saying this week we have We Still Don't Trust You, the second installment of Metro and Future coming out this week.
Thank you.
Then like later coming up, we have Taylor Swift's got another album coming out. Billie Eilish has an album coming out. Party Next Door has an album coming out. Dua Lipa, Sia, and hopefully Drake soon. So
we also got new Kalani too. I personally think that Kalani just dropped like one of the songs of the summer. When I heard that last Friday, I was like, somebody put me somewhere warm with a little something cool in my cup.
Mm-hmm.
I was just vibing back and forth in my little bedroom this morning. For last Friday morning, all of the new music, I was freaking out.
Yeah. Oh, also forgot to mention in J. Cole's album, he hints and kind of teases that he's got an album coming out soon as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I think all that to say, after you saying all those amazing artists, as the amazing coach Don Stanley has said after winning the national championship against University of Iowa, uncommon favor. We are having uncommon favor from being blessed by all these amazing artists, music coming in. Is a great year.
Yeah, could not agree more. Well, gentlemen, I know that we've been following the rap beef between Kendrick and J. Cole and then Kendrick and Drake, but have you guys been following any of the rap beef amongst the ladies lately?
I cannot say that I have. We've talked about on the podcast even, we talked about Nicki Minaj and Meg Thee Stallion, and I was pretty invested in that. That's kind of died down now. But I don't know. I heard rumor, I don't even know how true this is, so you're gonna have to educate me on this, but City Girls have broken up. I guess. I'm not sure. That's all I know.
Yeah, I am. I haven't heard not much about it. I think the last time I was involved in this kind of conversation is when we talked about Nicki and Megan. So very removed, very excited to hear what you had to talk about, and just like in a process, like hearing about new artists because I just haven't listened to a lot of female hip hop artists, not by choice, but like I just hasn't came to my attention. So no.
Yeah, no, makes sense. So there's a lot of infighting right now within female rap. So listeners, if you're not as familiar with the genre, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of its history, some of the major players historically, and then why things have sort of reached this bubbling point right now and what it sort of means for the future. So if you're not following, as of today, the list includes Glorilla and JT. JT was one of the members of the City Girls. They got into a pretty heated back and forth this week. JT and Young Miami, who were the two members of the City Girls, are no longer the city girls. They took that phrase out of their bios on Twitter and they call themselves like the city women now or something like that, or like the city singles, something like that. But they are no longer the city girls.
So wait,
Lotto,
hold up. So are they like just not doing stuff together? Are they rebranding? What's the deal?
they are no longer a duo. The city girls is no longer a thing.
Okay, dang.
Yeah. It is. It is crazy.
Hip hop is cutthroat, man.
It is. It is. Lotto and Ice Spice were both at the iHeartRadio Music Awards, and their bodyguards um, ushered them past each other very quickly during the award ceremony, because
Okay.
Lotto had threatened Ice Spice the last time and basically said, "When I see you on site means on site, like square up." And so there was that beef that was sort of going on. Cardi B and Ice Spice. Cardi B had mentioned Ice Spice in a tweet, not in any derogatory manner. Ice Spice responded to it. Cardi B, I don't know how she got this girl to do this. Got this girl to post pictures of them two smiling and cheesing with each other at the Vanity Fair Awards show. If you don't know, that's a big deal because Ice Spice was previously a part of Team Nicki Minaj, whose sworn enemy in rap is Cardi B. So rest assured that you about to hear some Ice Spice disses on anything new that
Wow.
Nicki Minaj puts out.
Oh yeah.
Because
Hey,
she's
if
an
she
all or
gets
nothing.
if she gets a chance, she's taking it. So that's all Nicki needs. She's if when we talk about rap beef, we're talking about Kendrick and J. Cole earlier. And I was saying that J. Cole, that's not his personality to be dissing people like that. The other side of the spectrum is Nicki. Like anybody can get it.
Anybody can get it. And
That's
so I was
hilarious.
just like, I added that girl to my prayer list when I saw her. I said, Lord Jesus, help her, because you just fell out of good graces with the girl who had your back. And then Azalea Banks decided to just like sort of crap on an artist who is very much up and coming, Doechii. And basically say that all of her music sounded the same and she was just a copycat of her. And honestly, Doechii got with her. But I want to talk here a little bit about the history of female rap and the current cultural climate here in just a few. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm killing Ben. Like, I don't really listen to. I just haven't heard a lot about female hip hop artists. I think I'm not just growing up overseas. When we do hear hip hop, is whatever gets cool, overseas, and obviously Nicki, obviously a little bit of Megan, and then Cardi B that made it over. But some of the artists you just mentioned, I personally don't really know who they are. But I guess for you, Caleb, as someone who loves music, obviously hip hop, why is like female rap so important to you? And like, why is all this super significant? Because I feel like it feels pretty new. It sounds like all the stuff that's happened all at the same time.
Yeah, so female rap, I personally think, and that's just what we call it. I don't ever like referring to women as females. This is an industry term that they call it. So for our listeners, I am the farthest thing from a misogynist. At least I do my very best not to be. And so when I say female rap, I'm not in any way trying to be degrading to the genre at all. I'd also like to say that I don't know everything, and I've got like 15 minutes in this segment. So I cannot mention all of the legends, but I want to take us through just a quick history. So female rap is significant because it is one of the first genres that was created by and for Black women specifically. It's significant because they were able to tell their stories, their real lived stories, okay, in a way that was easily accessible to everyone, right? When you think about some of the artists that some of the Black female artists that had absolutely been crushing it for years, yes, they wrote music that was significant, right? But they wrote music from a perspective that was oftentimes not widely accessible to all Black women, right? When you consider people like the Diana Rosses and the Shaka Khans and the Patti LaBelles, these are great vocal talents, right? If I can't sing, if I don't have that experience, how do I connect with that to the average person? There are so many other black artists, black female artists that I could mention here, but the biggest thing is that it gave them a voice to talk about their struggles, to send warnings to other women that I don't want no scrubs. That's not just a catchy song. That was an anthem to Black women that were in hoods and in neighborhoods everywhere. That's like, you see this kind of guy walking around, stay away from him, because he's trouble, right? There are so many examples like that that we can point to and say, this is why female rap is significant. What I love about the genre is that when we start in the 80s, and I'm going to start in the 80s, we got to talk about a couple of people. We got to talk about Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah steps onto the scene mid 80s and puts out album after album. I think she put out 5 albums until she got her first Grammy, but she got 8 Grammy nominations. Queen Latifah is really the first one to launch female rap off the charts. Then you've got rappers like MC Lyte. I'm the dopest female that you've heard thus far, and I do get better. The voice gets wetter. Nobody gets hurt as long as you let her. Like, y'all don't know anything about MC Lyte, okay?
Bro, what's crazy is like, think about how difficult that would be culturally to be able to make a song in the 80s as a woman rapping that someone 40 plus years from now will still be rapping to. Like, I love that. I think of, obviously not from the 80s, but I think of someone like Lauryn Hill and that type of impact as well, which I'm sure you'll get to it, but
Listen, you're so right. Like these, and they never got. I don't think any of these women have ever really gotten the flowers that they deserve for really
so
creating
true.
this sound and genre. We've got Salt and Pepper that step on the scene, and yes, they
Mhm.
have more bangers than just Push It, right? You've got Yo Yo. Yo Yo was introduced by Ice Cube, and so what happens is that unfortunately, in the 80s, a really dangerous precedent started being set. And that is that record labels would only broker a deal with a female rapper if she was introduced and co signed by another male rapper that was prominent. If you name almost any female rapper before Cardi B, with the exception of just a couple, I can
Wow.
name the rapper that introduced them.
Yeah.
And that represents so much inequality in music that in order for women to enter the genre, it had to be through the co-signing of a man, right? That's going to come up here in just a little bit. But fast forward to the 90s, you get people like Foxy Brown, Lil Kim, Lauryn Hill, Left Eye. Later on in the 2000s or late 90s, you start to get Trina. In the early 2000s, we've got Eve, Missy Elliott, Remy Ma. All of these powerful people who are telling a story. These are storytellers. In the 90s, one of the most significant albums of all time is The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. It changed the game. It shifted people's ears to say, wait a second, we can overlap these genres really, really well. We can tag in jazz. We can layer in jazz in it. We can layer in R&B sounds. We can have those hard rap bars as well. And we can put all of that into a song and a consumer will listen to it. It expanded the sound of the genre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, Lauryn Hill, so important to the genre. Would you consider, this is an interesting conversation, would you consider that album a hip hop album? Or like, what if you had to just place one genre's label on it? What would you put that?
I would label
I
it a
think
hip hop
hearing you
album.
saying
Yeah.
all of this,
Okay.
Yeah.
I
first
think
of
I
all,
would too. I think I would too.
I feel like just
Yeah.
never been exposed to those stories. I you know, when I get into hip hop, all I know is the Tupac, the Notorious B.I.G., N.W.A. I mean, like so many other like hip hop artists that really shifted the culture of the music industry. But the names you just listed sounds like they have as much impact, but I don't even know who they are, and I definitely am gonna be asking for albums. You said Miseducation of um, Lauryn Hill. I'm gonna be putting that right after this.
Miseducation
But
of
no,
Lauryn
this
Hill
is
is a
great.
great one to get started with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even like Yo-Yo, where my Yo-Yo at? Don't try to play me out. Don't try to play me out. Like that it goes so hard. And like Ice Cube co-signed Yo-Yo, right? For Eve, Eve was introduced by Maze, right? Remember, Maze and Diddy were like a rap duo in the 90s, early 2000s,
Mhm.
right? I think they had broken up by 2000, but Maze is the one that discovered Eve. Um, Foxy Brown was, I believe it was Jay-Z. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Lil Kim, obviously Notorious B.I.G. Lauryn Hill came in through the Fugees. In order for a solo female artist to get introduced, it had to be through the co-signing of a popular male rapper, right?
Mhm.
And the inequalities that these women experienced within the industry to this day astound me that there are still people that want to pursue this genre. I'm thankful that things are getting better, but
Mm-hmm.
all of that to say there's a really long history of it. There are so many other people that I could make mention of. But yeah, I mean
That definitely
there's
helped
a
me
lot
out.
to it.
So let's run through some of those names real quick then, and kind of talk about the most important names. So we already mentioned Lauryn Hill, but how about someone like Queen Latifah?
Queen Latifah. Okay, so she's important because she's the first person to really put female rap on the map by winning the first ever Grammy. So she has a total of 8 nominations and 1 win. But I mean, Queen Latifah is really the blueprint. She's also one of the most awarded black women in entertainment. She's got she's got a couple of Emmys. She's got People's Choice Awards, Critics' Choice Awards. She's got BET Awards. She's got a couple of BAFTAs. She's got a Grammy. I mean, she's been nominated for an Oscar. Like she is super prolific to the genre.
Kind
She
of
really
so
is sort of
late
that
90s. That's
cornerstone
kind
for
of
female
when
rap starting.
hip hop, in my opinion, blew up. Just because a lot of athletes want to be like hip hop artists, and a lot of hip hop artists want to be like basketball players. So Miss Elliott, obviously late 90s. Like, what was for you? Like, why is she super important?
Missy Elliott is significant because during a
Mm-hmm.
time when, in order for, even though you had to be co-signed by a male artist to get into the genre, in order to stay in the genre in the 90s, with the exception of a couple rappers, you pretty much needed to be incredibly over sexualized. And there are 2 different thought processes to that. You can talk about women empowerment and talking about the equalizing of the sexual experiences and all that kind of stuff. You can also say that it's incredibly provocative. And I'm not here to I'm not here to tell you how to feel about it morally. But what's significant about Missy Elliott is that during a time when women basically had to wear no clothes to get heard on a stage, she put on more clothes, and she wasn't the archetype of a female rapper at the time, but her lyricism and creativity was so significant. She broke so many records for her time. She's also been on the scene for like more than 20 something years now. Like Who comes up with "Is sure flaminema flam yam"? Like, what?
Wow, I did not know
We
that.
all say it still.
It's true, bro. That's crazy.
Speaking of impact, I
Oh,
think for
Missy
me,
Elliott had
when
such
it
an
comes to
impact.
female rap artists, I mean, we talk about Nicki Minaj. Like, I'm a Barbie. You know, yeah, it's just, Caleb, you have shine the light. You help me understand why, Megan is, I mean, a better rapper and better person, whatnot. But I still love listening to Nicki, and obviously with Cardi B, what's going on? Like, tell me more about, like, for you, why are those two artists super important?
Yeah. So I'm gonna wrap this up here and say this: Nicki Minaj is hands down, probably the most important female rapper in the genre. She's the highest selling of all time, for in terms of singles. Like, I think back in 2017, she had sold like 70 million singles worldwide, right? Only has increased since then. I mean, Nicki Minaj is so significant. Her lyricism, Nicki Minaj created a hunger for the female rap verse in music, even outside of the rap genre. Okay,
Mm.
on the average pop song, people are now open to wanting a female rapper to hop on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nicki Minaj was so good that she created that hunger in people's ears for that, right? Cardi B is significant because Cardi B is the first female rapper to come into the game without being co-signed. She came in and had massive success, the most success that any female rapper has ever had at a debut album. The top songs on there went platinum 9 times.
Yo,
In
Bodak Yellow, when that dropped, that changed the
ev-
world. That changed
every
the world.
every single song on Bodak Yellow is platinum. Every single song. And like 4 of the songs are like 9 times platinum.
Bro, yeah. And that is crazy to think about. You know, it's like I think of someone like Nicki Minaj as being
Mm-hmm.
very self-made, but then you don't really remember like way back when. It's like, no, that's Lil Wayne. That's, YMCMB. It's just now we're so far removed from that, and
Yeah.
and it's cool to see that we're at a time where an artist like Cardi B can come out without needing that cosign.
Agreed. Last person I'm going to talk about here is Megan. Megan is the first female rapper to achieve massive success
Mm.
as an independent artist, owning all of her masters. Owning her masters. So she's
Listen,
making more money than almost any other female rapper in the genre right now. And that is honestly the root of her beef, of the existing beef right now that Nicki Minaj has. Nicki Minaj really did put this genre on her back. And when it comes to getting the recognition for that and also getting the money that comes with that, these women that have come past her have honestly lapped her in terms of their income abilities, but they have her to thank for that, right? And so I think Nicki Minaj goes about it in a lot of the wrong ways in terms of how she wants the credit for things and how she wants everybody that she's co-signed to call her like her son and all that kind of stuff. But all in all, like that's really why we're at where we're at today, is because you have these breakout artists like Doja Cat, Megan, Cardi B, who have changed the game and are making money. And I mean, you're talking, I think it was Lil Kim was talking about how I had one of the number one rap songs on the Hot 100 back in the 90s, and I couldn't afford a cup of coffee because their record deals were so bad.
mm-hmm.
So bad. And so the female rappers now are able to own their masters. They're able to have full creativity. They don't have to be escorted into the genre
Yeah,
by
I really
another male
appreciate you just
rapper. And
talking
so
about
I'm
this
really
because
excited about everything that's happening right now in
I
the genre.
love learning about trailblazers, especially I mean when it comes to sports and music and honestly just different type of things, business. But this is just an area that just never really I never really look into. So I'm excited to go listen to some of the albums you and Ben are both recommending, and some of the artists you're already name dropped here. So, but also it gives me, this is a great timing. I mean, we're getting great music already, and we're going to be getting more. But understanding the history and context makes the music even more enjoyable. And also like referencing, like if I hear things like Mrs. Elliott, I didn't realize she's the one who, coined that, phrase that you said earlier, but like, oh, like I recognize that, so, but shifting gears here, listeners, I want to talk about sports, your favorite topics, right? Just kidding. So there's something happening this week. There's a lot of sports happening, but I want to narrow down on something more specific around golf. But before I dive into that, Caleb, Ben, what is your involvement with golf? Did you watch it growing up? Did you ever play? Like, when I say golf, what do you think of? Like, what comes to mind?
First of all, when I think of golf, I think of a different tax bracket that I have never once in my life belonged to. Okay? That's just me keeping it real. Maybe one day. But in terms of actually just like playing
Wait
golf,
a second. What you mean? What you mean? Maybe one day.
certainly one day. Thank you for holding me accountable to that,
Ain't
Caleb.
no maybe, cousin. I don't listen. I don't like hanging out with broke folk. Now y'all gonna have to get it together.
I'm gonna step it up. I'm gonna step it up just to stay in proximity with Caleb. No, but my high school basketball coach was super into golf. He loved playing. He was a really good golfer, and back in high school, I had kind of like a bit of a temper. I wouldn't call it like an anger issue, but I had a temper, and especially when I played basketball. And so for that reason, my high school coach told me I should try learning how to play golf because it's relaxing, and he thought it could help with my temper. So he had this elective class that he taught which were basically
Wow.
golf lessons. And so I did that for a semester, loved it, but basically haven't touched a golf club since then. So like I can play, top golf, I'm good,
Wow.
but I haven't been on a course since like 2017.
Yeah, yeah. My golf isn't necessarily my gig. I've taken some lessons in like my adulthood just because one day I do want to be like a CRO at a company and business happens on the golf course, right? So
Wait,
I've picked
what?
it up in my like adulthood a little bit. I've also golfed at like a couple of benefits. This company that I worked at Yeah, this company that I worked at previously had like signed up to like sponsor this golf tournament or something. And then last minute, and really what happened is that nobody else wanted to go. And so like they were like, "Hey Caleb, you're gonna
That's
go
how those
golfing here
things go.
to represent the company." And so
Go
went out
smile,
there.
go shake some hands.
Listen, those people that did that lawn were so mad at me after I finished on that course, and I
Oof.
don't blame them. So,
Wow.
yeah, pretty much sat around
Man,
drinking
I'm envious of you
summer
both because you
shandies
both have
the
gone
whole day
golfing.
and
I haven't had an
tearing the grass
experience
up. But
of going on a 9-hole course or even 18. So, but with that being said, I never watched golf. I don't really know anybody in golf. But the only thing only connection I have to golf is one of my cousin is a pro golfer. When she was around like in teen and a little bit early 20s in Taiwan, and she went to the Youth Olympic Games for Taiwan. So like every time I hung out with her, she took me to like a golf drive. So like that's the only thing I have connection to. But ask a hell of context. I mean, you both know more golf than I expected. So, and I will be playing golf at some point. So, but listeners, just a quick overview about what's happening this week. If you don't know, the Masters tournament, commonly referred as the Masters or U.S. Masters, if it's outside of U.S., this is one of the first of the four major tournaments for golf, for the men's when it comes to pro golf. So that's what makes it super unique. And because every time the different majors, everyone uses different locations in different countries, but this is for the Masters is hosted at Augusta National Golf Club, which is the private course in the city of Augusta, Georgia. Every pro major is hosted at this place. It never changed. So that's what's unique about the course. I actually didn't even know that when I was looking into it. So that's what I really like. Okay, like now this is I'm starting to understand why Masters is a big thing. It starts tomorrow, April 11th through the 14th. But before I kind of talk a little bit more about the Masters, but one thing I really appreciate about, just as somebody who doesn't watch sports, who don't really understand the Masters, but one thing I appreciate that as a sports fan is the traditions. Master has many traditions, and honestly one of the most iconic ones. But before we talk about that, Ben, Caleb, sports tradition is weave into sports culture, whether that's an anthem or ritual or pre-game thing. Like tradition is part of sports. So knowing you two are big sports fans for college sports or different professional teams, I'm just kind of curious. Like that's something I was thinking about. Like, oh yeah, what is your favorite sports traditions?
I think for me, my favorite sports tradition is definitely anything Ohio State. So like literally when I got homesick this past year when I was in Savannah for Ohio during football season because I'd never had anybody to watch the game with me, right? I literally would had like a little game day playlist and I would just play all of like the hang on, Sloopy, Sloopy, hang on. I'd play that over and over again. I'd play Carmen, Ohio a bunch of times. When they
Carmen, Ohio.
Ben, when they do that time intent will surely show how firm thy friendship.
Listen,
Hi.
Bro, listen,
Oh.
that is one of the best sports traditions. You know something? So
I could
obviously
run through a
Abigail's
wall.
family, who wouldn't? You know, Abigail's family are huge Buckeyes fans, and her aunt went to Ohio State, and when she hears Carmen, Ohio, she literally cries every single time because she's like, yeah, that's how much that tradition means to her. Yeah,
Bro, I tear up. I
yeah,
tear up. What we
it's
literally
so
and
sweet.
Ohioans have said, like, I have said this to people when leaving them, like when I've left Ohio, I have said, "How firm thy friendship, Ohio." Like I've said that to like other people. It's just like a thing. Like I'm gonna get a tattoo that says "How firm thy friendship" on me at some point. Like I love Ohio State and I love those traditions.
Yeah, Ohio State has so many of the best sports traditions. I would say within Ohio State sports traditions, one of my favorites is just the rivalry with Michigan. And yes, Caleb's already showing it. Crossing out the M's on campus is my favorite thing. Okay. Okay. If you don't, yes, Ohio State people know what I'm talking about. The rest of you have no idea. The week before Michigan plays Ohio State in football, the entire campus crosses out with a big red X every single M that you can find anywhere. Um, Literally, people will be climbing buildings. You will see like police out looking for people climbing buildings who are putting big like red X's over all the M's on street signs, cafeterias, buildings, even just like little like elevator signs. If there's like a M for main floor or whatever, it's got a big red X on it. And this is the entire campus, which is huge. It's a huge tradition. In fact, let me show you guys my keyboard real quick. I got these stickers because of this tradition. You'll notice my O is a block O, and then my M is the Michigan M, but it's crossed out in red.
I love
And
that.
it's
I
super
love that.
corny, But listen, I'm a Buckeye now, so I do that.
Lisa Al-Gaib.
Lisa Al-Gaib.
Lisa Al-Gaib.
But anyway, as always, thank you guys for joining us today. We hope this episode brightened your day, and we really appreciate this community that we're getting to build with Generation Varied. If you enjoyed listening today, don't forget to rate us 5 stars on all listening platforms and share this episode with your friends. Follow us on social media at Generation Varied. And if there's any type of topic that you would like to hear us talk about in the future, shoot us a DM or email us at generationvaried@gmail.com. We couldn't do this without you, and we're so thankful to have you join us.